hotels had met their demise, were being replaced with condominiums and residential use, and that was of concern not only to Madeira Beach, but to the Tourist Development Council in the county. The Economic Development Department undertook an extensive study countywide to try and understand what the dynamics, what the underlying cause of that was, which was done and resulted in part to amendments to the countywide plan that changed the provisions for temporary lodging use. So shortly on the heels, of course, or about the same time as your new town center plan was put in place in 2009, we experienced a downturn in the economy. Things didn't proceed as they were laid out in the town center plan. All redevelopment languished for a bit. And by 2011, 2012, the city picked up the ball and said, you know, let's understand why the objectives and the purpose of the town center plan hasn't been realized. Why haven't we seen some of the results that were anticipated? We looked over the next couple of years at the details of what the current zoning provisions were, what incentives were anticipated in the town center plan as compared to what was in fact in your rules and regulations. And that led to the series of amendments in 2014, essentially the update of the town center plan that created three interrelated ordinances, 2014, 07, 08, and 09. And they were designed to work in tandem, if you will, or to be seamless in terms of the three parts of the process that spoke to those amendments. The first, 2014-09, amended your comprehensive plan. And what that did was to create a new resort facilities high category that embraced and enabled additional density only for temporary lodging use. It did not change the underlying limitations on residential use. It made, the idea was to provide and encourage temporary lodging use specifically. It also allowed for density intensity averaging, which isn't germane to our discussion tonight, but that was another component of that ordinance that amended your comprehensive plan. Ordinance 2014-08, the companion ordinance, then amended your code in like fashion. It was one thing, we put the provisions and the policies in the plan, made accommodation for the category, but it had to be implemented, if you will, through the land development regulations, your land development code, and it required, as Ms. Cole pointed out, for any rezoning in the town center plan to use this plan development technique, this district that's being asked for tonight. And the purpose of that was to make sure that that application for rezoning was accompanied by a very specific plan that you would understand, the community would understand what we were getting. It wasn't an open-ended proposition where we changed the zoning and then waited to see what would happen. It required the specific accompanying site development plan that is being discussed here tonight. The last of the three ordinances, 2014-07, they were numbered, I guess, in reverse order, but amended specifically the town center plan. And that did a couple of things. It looked more specifically at what we were trying to accomplish from a specific geographic location. And it said, you know, whatever additional density or incentives were created were in the commercial core. And when you looked at the commercial core, there wasn't much there to deal with. You had City Hall, you had your park system, you had your existing condominiums and public parks. So we looked and said, you know, in order to truly connect downtown, the triangle area, if you will, on Madeira Way, with the entryway, we needed to look at that area along 150th that was the entryway to the city from the east and interconnect them in a way that made sense and extend those provisions to the C3 and C4 zoning districts in the Causeway District as well as the commercial core in the town center itself. It did that, and it provided specifically that not only did you have to use the plan development plan technique to make a change, you had to have a development agreement that went along with it that laid out all of the particulars, all of the conditions, so that everybody would understand exactly what was going to happen and on what basis. So, in a nutshell, in the context here is that while the original comprehensive plan, or the updated one in 2008, and your town center plan in 2009 identified the objective of encouraging additional temporary lodging or hotel use. The mechanism to do that really languished and wasn't put in place until 2014, and that's why we've begun to see now some positive results, we think, with regard to the kinds of applications that are coming forward. So it didn't happen overnight. It's been a process that has been ongoing for a number of years. It has been updated and tweaked and refined, and it resulted in a process that we think we can represent to you as your consultants, as your city planners. Makes sense, it provides the kind of assurances and understanding when a project of this size comes forward to you for your consideration. So with that, I'll turn it over, if there are any questions of me, of course, I'll try and answer them, to Louis Cerna to talk to you about the specifics of this project and the criteria in your code with regard to what we have reviewed. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Commission. I'm Louis Cerna with Calvin Giordano and Associates. I'm a certified land planner, and I have over 25 years of experience, and like everyone else, I'll give my resume to the clerk. I hope to explain to you briefly how we made our recommendation and how we made our findings in regard to what's in your report. As you've been told by the applicant and explained by Mr. Healy, this is a planned development. This process is a typical process when you have large mixed-use developments. And as Mr. Healy indicated, it is required for development in the town center and in the Causeway District. So this project was reviewed in regards to the planned development process that's in the Land Development Code. And as Mr. Healy indicated, the plan development process does include a site plan, and in this case, we also have a development agreement which helps protect the city's interests, especially when there are large off-site public improvements, as the applicant has indicated, and is being proposed to the roadway. Plan developments are a good mechanism when you have developments that are mixed use, that don't fit the typical single-use zoning district standards. It allows the development to be more innovative, as the architect explained. We have architectural standards, we have off-site improvements that are being proposed. They have not built to their maximum impervious surface area or floor area ratio, the bulk of the building, if you will, in exchange for getting increased height. So that's the advantage of the plan development proposal. They did submit a plan. It's important to note with this plan and in the development agreement, this plan does require the submittal of future phasing plans and future site plans that will be reviewed by staff for compliance with, for consistency with the development plan that you have before you. And there will also be additional review later on when development actually takes place for impacts to public facilities, including traffic. There are 28 review criteria that we looked at that are required in your land development code. Again, we looked for compliance with the comprehensive plan, compliance with the town center plan, including the Causeway District, and compliance with your land development code. And that includes the 28 review criteria. And I won't go through all 28. Hopefully I can just hit the highlights quickly and answer any questions you might have. But the complete 28 criteria and our findings are in your staff report. The initial 5 criteria were looked at by the Planning Commission. The first criteria was consistency with the comprehensive plan. And as we have indicated, the comprehensive plan, as well as the special area plan, calls for an increase in number of temporary lodging units and enhanced tourist industry in Madeira Beach and its local businesses. It establishes maximum density of 15 units per acre and up to 125 units per acre of temporary lodging. The district further requires a maximum floor area ratio of 4.0 and a maximum impervious surface area of 0.95. And this plan is consistent and is compatible. It does meet the requirements and is actually below the maximums of the comprehensive plan. In terms of land use compatibility, we found that the subject parcels are surrounded on 3 sides by water and are in an area that includes other residential and water-based commercial and tourism-related commercial uses. We looked at adequate public facilities. The applicants have submitted letters, and they've coordinated with the Department of Transportation, the Water Management District, as well as Pinellas County as far as impacts go to public facilities. Our findings are that they have demonstrated that there are adequate public facilities at this time. Again, this issue will be looked at as the project develops over time and as conditions change. But as the current situation exists and as per the requirements, it does meet the requirements. The fourth criteria is it in the public interest? We find that the development has been determined to be consistent with and will promote the sort of development that is promoted in the town center special area plan. And then we looked at consistency with the land development regulations. The rezoning and the conceptual site plan has been determined to be consistent with the standards and requirements of the land development regulations. There is a second set of criteria, 12 altogether, that the board additionally needs to consider regarding the site plan. I'd just like to highlight a couple of these. One of the criteria is the development shall comply with applicable city plans and plan policies and shall have a beneficial effect on both the area of the city in which is proposed to be established. We have found that this plan is consistent with the special area plan, the policies that are listed in there. We've also listed 5 policies of the comprehensive plan that we find that this development will promote. One of them is to promote pedestrian-oriented development within concentrated development and activity areas. Let's see. Another criteria is in regard to the visual character. The architect did indicate there will be there is a cohesive architectural plan against which future development on this site can be looked at. And then finally, there are a set of 11 criteria that actually get into the physical character of the project, and our findings are included in the report. It deals with the appearance of the development, landscape treatments, and issues such as that. A lot of these are included in conditions of the development agreement, which will be coming before you at your next meeting. The Planning Commission did review this project, as I indicated, and they recommended approval subject to the conditions of the development agreement and subject to this board's approval of the development agreement. Staff is recommending as well, based on our review, that we're recommending approval of the project subject to the conditions set forth in the development agreement. I'd be glad to answer any of your questions regarding our findings or our staff report. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, at this point, I'd like you to consider receiving into evidence some of the documents that have been presented since the last time you were requested to address this issue, but you've received the curriculum vitae or the resumes, the background for the architect, and I know I'm going to butcher your name, I apologize, Petronex, Mr. Pergolesi, the traffic engineer, Mr. Healy, and Mr. Cerna. In addition to that, we'd like you to receive into evidence the staff report of Mr. Cerna that is dated March 8, 2016, that sets forth those 28 criteria that he just referenced. So you can receive them into evidence by just saying that they'll be received, and then we can go on to have the public speak if that's appropriate.
They're received and so noted.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, now is time for the public to be able to speak. And I know that you've already reminded them that 3 minutes for each one to speak. And I'm going to let you control that, Mr. Mayor, as they come up. And go from there.
Who would like to speak first? Jeff.
Oh, it's already at my height. Good. Good evening. My name is Jeff Brown. I own a business at 201 150th Avenue. I also live in Madeira Beach, and I serve on zoning and planning for the last couple of years. I know very well the concerns of the residences in the 3 condominium communities that are located to the west of the proposed building site. During sessions of zoning and planning meetings, we heard concerns of height and density, and we were able to work with Mr. Holton to reduce the height and density of the project by approximately 20%. I believe we on the board found that to be a far better result for the neighborhood than the original proposition. Also in our meetings, it seemed overwhelming that the residents of the city wanted to see the development of the property, but the main concern was the traffic. I know, I deal with 150th every day. One thing I've learned is you do not go to Publix at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But now I believe, there it is, I believe when our visitors come to this area and our friends come to enjoy their new condos and everything that the city has to offer, it's my belief that the cars will stay parked quite a bit as the people walk to the beach. Why would they drive to Archibald Park and pay for parking when it's less than a 5-minute walk to the beach? I see this every day. The people walking from the condominium units in the morning to the beach and walking back in the afternoon. They don't drive. Now, the evening could be a little bit different. Instead of eating at the amazing new waterfront restaurant located on the property, they may opt to eat somewhere else, but that's typically after 6 o'clock. Once again, I do have fears about the traffic, but I feel that the benefit of having this new development far exceeds the possibility of having higher traffic counts. Having a beautiful, modern facility at the gate of our community can only bring a positive view to our city. I thank Mr. Holton for investing in the future of Madeira Beach. I truly appreciate his flexibility on the development after hearing the concerns of his neighbors, and I ask the BOC to vote yes in bringing this type of enhancement to our city, and I thank you in advance for your consideration. 48 seconds. Okay. Rebutting an email. Paul Skipper does not own where Madeira Printing is, that shopping center. I own my building, thank you. It is not for sale. I paid to have the trees trimmed, so when you see the trees trimmed, don't think that my business is for sale. It's not. 23 seconds. I also feel in the future, instead of coming up here and talking, possibly I should send a 15 to 20-minute email so I can circumvent this right here. It's my hope that in the future that the time given to emails will be about as much time as I have. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brown, say hello to Miss Tabitha, okay? And well, thank you for the 3 minutes. Who else would like to make a comment? Mr. Baruti?
Thank you, Mayor Palladino and commissioners. I'm here to, I'm Jay Baruti from Reddington Shores, lived on the beach community for over 35 years and served this community for over 35 years. As all of us, we grow to love it, and we want to make sure it's protected, and pretty much all the beaches is one community. I knew Mr. Holton. I know Mr. Holton, and for many, many years. Also, he was raised in this beach community and love it very much. The property, been in his family since the 1960s. And I know he want to build something to make Madeira Beach proud and the beach community for his legacy and the legacy of his parents. After all this testimony and professional, I'm not here to tell you about traffic, about building. He invested enough money to do the right thing for this community. I'm here in front of you as a resident of this beach community to encourage you respectfully to support this project. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You ladies are so subtle. My name's Corey Hubbard. I just moved back to the Gulf Beaches from Washington, D.C., where I spent 4 years watching federal public policy made. And despite this, you all may think this is bad, but this is nothing. And I'm very proud to be back and part of the process. I know it's been a while since we've all sat through American Government 101, and I just want to thank everyone else for giving us all the little refresher courses. But I do want to add an addendum to some of the comments of my fellow citizens. These repetitive accusations of opaque, kind of cloak and dagger city behavior, I'd find frankly laughable. I sat here for 90 minutes of government transparency and heard a lot of grumbling around me, so I'm sort of confused by some of the other comments. Additionally, I'm just extremely disappointed with the repetitive and constant mention of traffic congestion as a result of this project. It's as if nobody is noticing, sort of, despite evidence to the contrary, the people with actual skin in the game, skin to the tune of millions of dollars, are not considering sort of basic development concerns. And to my naive eyes, I mean, more attractions and more hotel rooms means more tourists, and more tourists means an economic stimulus, and economic stimulus generally means a better way of life for every single person in this room. It absolutely means a growth of local business, and if I'm the one conducting the cost-benefit analysis, that's frankly enough for me. And I'm a proud descendant of multiple tourism and hospitality professionals who've lived and worked on this beach since 1928 and have spent a large part of my adult life traveling the world. And I literally have never heard a tourist say, you know, I really like this city. There's just one problem. The buildings are just too tall. I've literally never heard that. So. Residents, and a lot of part-time residents, may be lamenting the loss of charm, but really, for me, all I hear is just get off my lawn. And I really, frankly, find that to be despicable. And it's gonna be me, it's gonna be my children that are gonna be the next generation to enjoy what the hard work of all of y'all, as well as the evil developers sitting behind me, all of their work is not lost on me, and nor will it be lost on my children in the future. So deviating from many years of government criticism, I just want to commend this commission for their efforts to enhance Madeira Beach, and it would be an economic boon to the entire community. And again, thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Up over here.
My name is Nancy Breiner, 364 144th Avenue. I've been a resident of Madeira Beach for 37 years and a resident of the Gulf Beaches for 58 years. I'd like to start tonight with a quote from the mayor of Indian Rocks Beach. I know this isn't Indian Rocks Beach, but this is what he said. It's important for a mayor to understand why people choose to live in Indian Rocks Beach. Its uniqueness, small town charm, variety of folks who live here, small scale development. We've avoided being overwhelmed by tall condos, lots of great places to eat, and a beautiful, relatively quiet beach, wonderful parks, volunteer spirit, and a general air of friendliness. We become more unique the more we stay fundamentally the same. That's the end of his quote, but I feel that's kind of what our town is like. And yes, we all know our city needs developing. It is my wish that the citizens, the merchants, the planning, and the BOC boards could get together with a plan that would help bolster the merchants, but also make our city a beautiful, relaxing, and safe area to come home to every day. And I'd also lastly like to add the vote yesterday on the no for the referendum should tell us what we really think about our commission. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Jeff Beggins. I've been here at the beach doing a lot of real estate and development for years. And what I'd like to say is that I would commend you guys for looking at this the way that you're looking at it, and also commending Mr. Holton for doing what he's doing. The easy thing for him to do is take a check and walk away, right? There's plenty of developers that would buy the property. What he's doing is, because of his love for this town, is making it something that we can all be proud of. He's not building the density he can. He's not building the height that he could. He's doing what he should to make sure that this town keeps the same charm. And I think he should be applauded and commended for doing what he's doing to make sure he's doing. He didn't have to, but he did. And if we keep pushing it, the easiest thing to do is just build a high and dry. And that would have everybody pissed, and me included, and to miss this opportunity. And for those who keep saying this is going to be Clearwater Beach, please stop. This is not going to be Clearwater Beach. It can't be Clearwater Beach because there's no more land. We have the special area district, which is just this one little sliver of a couple sites, and that's the only place we can have high density. Let's do it in a responsible manner. It's done at a lower level than it could be, and I really urge the commission to approve this quickly while we still have an economic climate that developers will be developing. And if we keep pushing this along any further, we're going to be staring at that parking lot for another 10 years. So I urge you to say yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm not a very good speaker, but the messages from the...
Your name, sir?
Pardon?
Your
Robert
name.
Preston, 425 Bay Shore.
Thank you.
The messages are pretty clear from the residents, not the business people, but the other residents, that 5 stories is enough. And we're not against the development and to make our city so that people will want to come. So I would like to see it stay down to 5. They said they reduced it, but they reduced it from 10 to 8 or 10 to 7 or something like that. That's not a reduction. And this would be for the question for the attorney. If it's approved, could they, attorneys, sue the city and say, we want to go higher? It allows it.
Sir, this is your opportunity to make statements. I'm not going to be answering questions.
Okay. Well, I think that potential exists, that it's allowed, it's able to go that high, and they want to change it. It could be a fight in court. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Kate?
My name's Peter Trott, 378 145th. A couple of things that just don't seem to fit. We're here on rezoning, and we're out-lawyered, out-promoted, whatever. Well, apparently, we spent $250,000 to have a C3. They're trying to tell you, you wasted your money. We don't want C3, we want a PD. All the rest of it is minutia. They're not talking about what they're going to do or what, I don't hear anybody saying we're going to have a performance bond before you change the zoning. Once you change the zoning, that's it. Then they're going to change the development. I don't know where it's all going to go, but all I hear is minutia. All the things we're going to do, maybe. If we spent $250,000 to get C3, and that's what we wanted, why don't we limit the development to what you planned, what you spent your money for? Thank you. And I appreciate all you guys volunteering your time. You know, this is a huge decision. And if you allow it, you may not be back.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Peter Irvig, 14,900 Gulf Boulevard, Madeira Beach. I've been a resident of Madeira Beach for the past 16 years. In my opinion, tonight we're discussing the rezoning. I understand the development agreement, which is an integral part of this, is being discussed at another time. but I will refer to it. In my opinion, without this agreement and rezoning, the subject property, the Holton property, suffers from inadequate access, which in turn limits its development potential and value. If the proposed rezoning and development agreement are passed, this will immediately enhance its value by several millions of dollars, but at what cost to the community? Access improvements are an integral part of the plan and incorporate improved access roads across municipal property. Furthermore, the city is paying an estimated $806,230 towards off-site road improvements, which are equal to 100% of estimated transportation impact fees, with the developer paying for any excess costs that exceed the city's. The question is why? Why should this enormous sum of taxpayer money be used for transportation improvements that are primarily for the benefit of a private property owner? Why should the city give away taxpayer money in this way? Excuse me. Another important issue is that the rezoning incorporates a development agreement which is for a term of 20 years. This is going to tie future commissions and hands for the next 20 years. So if you go along with this decision, you're tying the hands of your successors for 20 years. One last point. Yesterday, the proposed change to ordinance number 201506 was defeated, and this has a significant impact on the proposed development. According to the ordinance 201506, you can't convey an interest in municipal property without a public referendum. This project requires access easements over city property to get to the Holton site. You can't convey those the way this stands now without another public referendum. You should look into that and take that into account. Thank you very much.
Sir. Yes, ma'am.
I sat through all these emails and listened to them all. I rewrote and wrote and rewrote things. I just want to look the council people in the face and say, this is too much all at once. It's everything I've heard. I've been to all the meetings. The business people want more. The residents say enough is enough. I don't care what the Department of Transportation says. As a former teacher, a C is not good enough in my book. And if we add on what we talked about on Monday night, the C is going to turn to a D or an F. And I certainly do not want to live in a community that gets a D or an F for a grade. It's choose wisely, residents versus business. That's all I've heard since I've been here. Business people approve, the residents disagree. Nobody's listening to us, the residents. Yes, we need to remodel a lot of stuff. We're old-fashioned. All the buildings look old. But let's do it sensibly, not with 10-story buildings and dumping all this traffic. Obviously, none of you have tried, like I have this week, to get out on 150th. I want that Department of Transportation man to spend one day with me and see if he changes his mind.
Ma'am, can you tell us your name, please?
Ginger Tolliver, Bay Point Drive, Madeira Beach.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Sam Baker. I'm 742 Pruitt Drive. I've been an owner here for 26 years and a resident for 14. I had a bunch of notes here. I worked hours to get ready. My wife and I shortened it down to 3 minutes. But I'm going to address just a couple of high points because I've heard most of it. First of all, I want to remind everyone here that there's not one development project under consideration, but two, on both sides of 150th Avenue, and the traffic impact is going to be profound if these things go through. If they do, then we need to conduct, or we need to have developers conduct a new traffic study. Another thing that bothers me, I don't think that Madeira Beach should spend one dime for this for this developer's project. It's the developer's project. He's come to us. He wants to build these things. Let him pay for it. If I have to do something on my property, the city doesn't pay for it, I'll guarantee you. I was going to suggest that we get some sort of a citywide survey, but I heard a survey from at least people who were took the trouble to write their letters. I wrote a letter, and it hasn't appeared. I'm going to try to dig it out, so that'll be 51. I heard, I think, 2 letters of approval. That should send a message to us. In conclusion, you know, these parcels are zoned for construction now. There's no need to rush the process. I don't think Madeira Beach needs the added traffic. I'm not sure we need any more taxes, and we don't need to add 25% more population. Thank you.
Mr. Hubbard?
City Commission. My grandfather came to this area in the 20s before there were even bridges out here to the Gulf beaches. And my brother grew up out here on Gulf Boulevard when it was just a shell road. I grew up out here when there was no sidewalks, no drainage, and Gulf Boulevard was paved, but there was, I mean, you couldn't even ride your bike down the road. And when Gulf Boulevard started getting developed, and there was always naysayers. When Pop was down in Paso Grill and that area was developing, everyone naysayed. Now, same thing up here. You guys are doing a great job. You're doing your homework. The developer, I mean, that guy's 2 to 3 generations out here. And he's doing his homework. He's given so much to Madeira Beach, to the Gulf beaches. And this is a good project for this area. And granted, I'm not a resident of Madeira Beach, but I'm a resident of the Tampa Bay beaches. Born and raised on St. Pete Beach, currently live on Treasure Island Causeway. Yes, we do have a business here, and this project is going to be great for the economic impacts for Madeira Beach, which trickle down to the residents. Pat, you've seen these beaches develop over the years, and every step of the way, you have the naysayers. You guys are doing a good job making sure that the project's going to be good for the residents, good for the visitors, good for the businesses. The greenery, the sidewalks, the Madeira Beach developing the waterborne transportation to combat the traffic. This project's probably going to trigger a new bridge. Madeira Beach in this corridor is going to be beautiful. You're going to get a new bridge someday. That's a given. That bridge ain't going to last very much longer. We'll build it. It'll be built at the same time. Just pile it right on with the rest of it. Get it all done at one time. That way my daughter and all my kids will have a beautiful beach community to live in. Thank you.
Sir, can you tell us your name?
Yeah, Captain Mark Hubbard, Hubbard's Marina, Johns Pass Village.
I knew who you were, but maybe the rest didn't, so. Hey, John.
Good evening, you guys. You're doing a great job. I just want to tell all you commissioners and my favorite mayor how much I appreciate what you're doing for our community, not just for this tonight, but other things that we're involved in. But what I'd really want to tell everyone is that I live down at Johns Pass, where Hubbard's is. And when they were going to build the parking garage, Mr. Hubbard got attacked, like tonight, by everybody, and about the traffic and this, that, and the other. Well, thank God he has that parking garage there, and thank God that you can go up and watch the sunsets and all the beautiful dolphins going by. And I don't see a problem with the traffic down there. I pull out of my office every day at 13205 Gulf Boulevard, and they put those wonderful what do you call it, the DOT for the walk people that want to walk across the street in front of people, and they stop all the traffic so you can get out on 150th if they make 2 or 3 of those like we have, and you'll be fine. That's how I'd dart out. But I really do want to say that I think that that Mr. Holton is doing a wonderful thing for this community. In case you haven't been over there, you know, it's kind of gone downhill, and it's he's putting all of his money, time and effort into it. I have been helping him, trying to clean it up a little bit. It's going to be a beautiful site, and I appreciate everything he's done and you have done. Thank you.
Your name and
Shirley Nelly at 13205 Gulf Boulevard,
thank you.
Madeira.
Mr. Everett?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. My name is Jim Everett, 15458 First Street East, and I'm a resident. I do not own a business in Madeira Beach, but I live in Madeira Beach. I also serve on the Planning and Zoning Board. There have been a lot of comments about our downtown area, the original plan that was done. There were some comments in some of the meetings about, I thought we wanted it to be like Naples, Florida. Well, let me read you some demographics. The per capita income in the city of Naples is $61,000. The per capita income in the city of Madeira Beach is $30,000. What we have right now on Madeira Way is not exactly Rodeo Drive. I think that these projects are very much needed. I think if you look at the records, the Holton property last year paid approximately $37,000 in property taxes. Just the 68 condominium units with an assumed assessed value of $450,000 would generate over $500,000. So I think you're looking at a significant revenue opportunity in addition to taking a piece of property that quite honestly looks like a Superfund recovery site and turning it into a gorgeous gateway to our city. So I would very much encourage you to move forward. And the other thing is the Visit St. Pete Clearwater this past year spent $35 million advertising our beaches. The Pinellas County Commission just voted to raise the bed tax revenues, so that budget will go up probably in excess of $40 million. So we live in a tourist destination. When I moved here 10 years ago, I know the traffic is heavy January through March. I knew that coming in here. The other thing that we can't do is I don't believe there's too many native Madeira Beach residents that were born and raised here now. So I don't think it's fair for us to say now that we're here, pull up the drawbridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Everett. Yes, sir. It's okay. Brother, we're at the beach. We're not in a big of a rush.
I didn't intend to speak when I came here tonight. I came to listen because 30 years ago, my wife and I discovered Madeira Beach, and we thought it was paradise, and we still do today. In the 30 years, we have seen these changes come, and to me, every one of those changes has added to the enjoyment and the appearance of our community. We love it here. It's the longest we've ever lived anywhere, and we have lived everywhere, including 3 years in Europe. But we live by everywhere. I'm talking about major cities, places you've never heard of. Some of them aren't even on the map. But it also includes New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. And I want to thank Shane tonight for making me the envy of every child in Pinellas County, because I am the only man that has a 96-foot Ferris wheel 40 feet from my front door. But really, his crew, you know, has done a lot to enhance the value of our public property. And we just do enjoy what's here. And I don't envy you all your job, because you have to strike the balance between progress and maintaining the status quo and that's not fun. By the time you get to my age, you realize change is going to come whether you like it or not. Some of the changes are good, some of them are not good. I think what everything has been proposed, both in the city center plan and developing the former Liver Rocks property, is an improvement. I don't know about the degree of the development. I'll leave that to you lucky folks to determine that balance. But I do appreciate your effort, and I am in favor of progress. The wife and I, though we've been together a long time, we do like progress. We're not looking to keep old buildings with rotten wood and the termites that go with them. Thank you very much.
Sir, we're going to need your name.
My first name is Reese. The last name is Noren. I live over in the yacht club. I'm also a director there and the vice president of the association, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the association.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Nelson. I live at 420 Boca Ciega Drive. And I respectfully request that the variance sought in the development of the Holiday Isles project be denied. Using your analogy, step on the clay and start over. While I appreciate and am thankful for all your efforts and your time, I support the declination of this variance because the essential character of the island city will be negatively altered. And two, the scale of the project is too extensive and undesired by a vast majority of the residents. I believe, as do many of my neighbors, that granting this variance will alter the essential character of Madeira Beach. Madeira Beach, for years, has thrived on being a low-key alternative to Clearwater and even our neighbors to the south in Treasure Island. All you need to do is review any of the hundreds of testimonials on TripAdvisor.com to see Madeira Beach's two greatest assets and distinguishing features are the ease of access to our beach and Madeira Beach's quaintness. Allowing the development of this structure in excess of Madeira Beach's long-standing zoning and height constraints will operate in conflict to Madeira Beach's self-described laid-back atmosphere. This structure would strip Madeira Beach of its essential character and serve notice to potential visitors that we are no different than St. Pete Beach or Clearwater. And I submit to you that we are vastly different and that this project does not represent the character of our city. This project, as originally proposed, did not simply seek an accommodation, but an obliteration of the established height standards and norms within Madeira Beach. The variance sought called for allowance of structures doubling 100% greater the number of stories currently commonplace within the borders of our city. This is like someone asking for permission to increase the speed limit on Gulf Boulevard by suggesting a speed limit of 70. Even with the newly proposed reduction, this project still seeks a variance whereby it would exceed those height standards by 40%. While I agree with the general development of this property, this variance of this scope is too extensive. I understand there will always be greater financial opportunities with larger buildings, but the cost of Madeira Beach's essential character and strength of our building codes far outweigh those opportunities in this instance. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Laws too gentle are seldom obeyed." As it is the desire that these building codes be obeyed here and in the future, this city should not begin promoting weak building codes only to see them toppled time and time again as additional requests for rezoning occur. One only has to drive a few miles north to Clearwater Beach to recognize what we do not wish to become. I understand that any development of this location or others, even within code, will have the effect of increasing congestion on land and in our navigable waterways. But please do not exacerbate these issues by granting this variance. Reading directly from the TampaBayBeaches.com website, Madeira Beach found it important to include, and I quote, "We are proud of our government that listens to the people." If that statement were to be a true depiction of our government, the board will have no choice but to deny this variance. If this variance is nonetheless granted, may I suggest modifying that quote to read, instead of a government that listens to the people, a government that listens to the voice of the developers over the voice of the people. Thank you.
Mr. Kochek.
Steve Kochek, 15301 2nd Street East, Madeira Beach. It's been a long time coming. It started back in 2000 with the master plan, and this is really the first major development that's coming in. When we gave Gail Isley that $25,000, I think you made a mistake, it wasn't $250,000, $25,000 for that report, for the comprehensive report, and to start the ball rolling. This was an idea that's theme was to incorporate the people along with the commission, to build something that we would all be proud of, and the majority of us would be happy that it's being built. I don't like the condominiums in here. When I was part of this process, I wanted the condominiums eliminated and given no treatment at all, favorable treatment. And the reason for that was we had condominiums. We didn't have hotels. The whole idea of the planned development district was hotels. It was not for any condominiums. That's why the condominiums weren't increased in the amount of density that they had. But we had to increase the hotel density because the hotel people said, your density was too low, we can't invest in the buildings because we can't build enough rooms. So that's when the process moved forward, and we started to go about increasing the density for the hotels. These projects are supposed to be for tourists. We're a tourist community with residential neighborhoods. Get rid of the condominiums, allow them to build a hotel bigger on this property, give a little bit more land, and go high. Once we go above 3 stories, it doesn't matter how high you go anymore. I know people don't like height. I come from New York. This is not a big building. We have garages that are bigger than these buildings. When you come from the Midwest or small where a silo is a big building, then I can see people getting panicky. People in the condos, they have their height there. This has to go a little bit higher, but if it's thin and it's a spire-type building, you'll get the design that you like. I wasn't here when this initially started to be able to put this input in, so I doubt that anything would be changed now. But if the change could come, that's the change I would ask for them to make. Get the condos out of there, put your hotel in there so it's nice. Keep it thin. We don't have the room for the sprawl, and make sure you have your parking. I approve, I'm glad that this process is going through. We're into it 16 years, little by little by little. And it's good that it is coming through. There are going to be people unhappy. You have to use your judgment here, and hopefully that was the idea. Get the people involved. Get the meetings there. For the next project going across the street, get the people there so that they can have their input. That was the importance of it, so you wouldn't have a lot of discontent. And I'm hoping that everything goes well from here. And I know that once that development agreement is made, what people should understand also is that if it's changed, those buildings have to get ripped down. That development agreement is written in stone. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Mr. Spieler.
Good evening. My name is Doug Spieler. I live in Clearwater. However, I have roots in Madeira Beach. My son has lived for many years in Madeira Beach, and we're very involved with Madeira Beach. We love Madeira Beach. I've listened to all this testimony tonight, pro and con, and I think there's some important couple of things that haven't been mentioned. You know, we just went through the worst recession we've ever been in, short of the Great Depression. All over this country, municipalities the size of yours, much larger, much smaller, are going broke. And I have admired you and Mr. Marsicano, your management, your city manager. You have a thriving municipality here. Your ventures all bring in, not all, but a lot of them bring in capital, either directly or indirectly through the tourist industry, through the fishing industry, or through other venues that you have available to the public. I've never seen, I spoke before you 2 years ago, I think, and complimented this board on what they've done with the city of Madeira Beach. And I say again, you're doing one heck of a job. What you proposed out here is a wonderful project. The Holton family has owned it. I used to eat breakfast in your diner about 50 years ago and then go over and work for Mr. Holton. So it's a wonderful project. The pier that you have, I think, on your agenda tonight, the marina renovation, and I said to you several weeks ago that Madeira Beach has become a destination, a waterfront destination, and we don't have many destinations. We have some very nice, charming waterfront community, but try and think of what community has become a destination and has the amenities to offer that Madeira Beach has. I see my time is almost up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Spielberg. Yes, sir.
I'm Rob Wachtel. I live at 14223 East Parsley Drive. I think it's been a pretty consistent theme through most of, in fact, the vast majority of the residents here about what it is, what the problem is. They are all for development. They are just not for development of this size. You can F-dot this and F-dot that and present what the speculation of these studies are, but FDOT was done, and getting approval and the requirements and the meeting the specifications happened in Clearwater, I have no doubt, and look what they're stuck with. So that's a real big concern for me. To continue the consistent theme on this, I went back and looked at the minutes from the January 11 Planning Board. 20 people had concerns of traffic and the size of the buildings. 5 people were for it. I went back to February 8, and the minutes there where 8 stories was presented with the downscaled version. This is what the minutes said. Chairperson Everett opened up the floor for public comment. Several comments were made concerning the increases in traffic flow and the height of the buildings. That's a cop-out on the minutes because the vast majority of the people were concerned about the height and concerned about the traffic density. We will lose our character of this town with the size of these buildings, which is part of the draw, is the size of the beach community. That's the draw of the tourism. Captiva has it, Sanibel has it. They don't have tall buildings. We can use controlled development at a good, not overdeveloped sense, 4 or 5 stories. We don't have to make these mammoth structures that the developers want. I also have concerns about marine transportation here, the marine traffic. Over 100 new slips. That's huge. Already got guys and girls going by on their boats, breaking the no-wake zone all the time. It's a real, pain, and they just ignore it. Finally, the referendum vote. I think it was a clear sign because I think there's a lot of hesitancy and worriment among the population about what the commission will do if they're allowed to have that power. Because these properties, these developments, the 2 of them that are going to happen, are what is concerned, and they're being ignored. Thank you very much.
Anybody else like to make comment? All right, I'm going to close public comment. At this time, I guess we can do a rebuttal from the applicant.
Yes, what we need to do now is rebuttal by the applicant, and then by the city, and then the summaries.
Okay.
Oh, my Lord.
Just a few items to speak about based upon the comments that were heard. With respect to Mr. Trott's concern about the plan changing or becoming different after adoption of plan development zoning, your code prescribes that the plan development zoning application must be accompanied with